Sean Diddy Combs, also known as Puff Daddy and P. Diddy, is a name synonymous with hip-hop royalty and entrepreneurial success. He's not just a hip-hop mogul, he's a visionary, a cultural architect who transformed street-level music and fashion into a sprawling, influential global empire. His impact resonates far beyond the recording studio. His journey began as an intern at Uptown Records, before he boldly stepped out to found Bad Boy Entertainment, a label that would redefine the sound and style of an era. Combs launched the careers of iconic artists, most notably the Notorious Big, and Ma Dollar E, artists who would dominate the charts and influence countless others. Together, they shaped the sound, the look, and the attitude of an entire generation, leaving an indelible mark on popular culture. But his influence extended far beyond the realm of music. He proved to be a savvy businessman with an eye for opportunity. From the Sean John clothing line, which brought streetwear to the high-fashion runway, to Ciroc Vodka, a brand he elevated to luxury status through strategic partnerships and savvy marketing, and the Revolt Network, a media platform aimed at empowering black voices, all bear his distinctive mark. For years, Sean Combs embodied the quintessential American dream, a rags-to-riches story of ambition and hustle, a symbol of black excellence, entrepreneurial spirit, and relentless ambition that inspired millions. But that carefully constructed image built over decades shattered when serious federal charges surfaced, sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry and beyond. These allegations cast a harsh and unflattering light on the man behind the brand, forcing a re-evaluation of his legacy. The allegations stood in stark and unsettling contrast to his carefully cultivated public persona, the image of a successful businessman and cultural icon. This situation is forcing a critical reckoning about power dynamics, influence, and accountability within the entertainment industry and the broader culture. For millions around the world, the unfolding legal drama wasn't just about the fate of one man, it was about the very nature of celebrity culture, the systems that enable and protect powerful figures, and the price of unchecked influence. Could the man who once famously declared "can't stop, won't stop," a mantra that defined his relentless drive, finally be brought to a halt by the weight of these accusations and the pursuit of justice? The stage is now set for a complex cultural and legal battle, one that promises to be closely watched and intensely debated. The federal charges against Combs were grave and deeply serious: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. Prosecutors painted him not as a mere businessman but as a crime boss exploiting his power for illegal gain. The most explosive allegations involved sex trafficking, truly shocking in their nature, by force, fraud, or coercion, with claims of manipulation, drugging, and abuse. Even the lesser charges, transporting individuals for prostitution, carried serious consequences. The prosecution argued that, at minimum, Combs facilitated illegal sex acts across state lines. A conviction could mean life in prison, erasing his legacy and sending shockwaves through the industry. The trial became a flashpoint for debates about fame, power, and the dark side of celebrity. For 6 weeks, the federal courthouse became a stage for high-stakes drama. 34 prosecution witnesses, including ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura and another woman known as Jane, described years of control and abuse. Their testimony put a human face on the charges, making the stakes painfully real. The defense, led by Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, called no witnesses, relying on cross-examination to challenge credibility and suggest motives of financial gain. They argued the relationships were consensual, painting the prosecution's case as exaggerated and opportunistic. Combs sat stoic throughout, while the jury of 12 weighed conflicting stories and the fate of a music icon. The nation watched, waiting for a verdict that would define more than just one man's future. After 2 long days of intense deliberation, where every piece of evidence was scrutinized and every argument weighed, the jury finally reached a verdict, a decision that reverberated through the courtroom, stunning many who had followed the case closely. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as the judge prepared to read the jury's findings. In a mixed outcome, Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges: racketeering and sex trafficking. These were the charges that carried the potential for a life sentence, a prospect that loomed large over the entire trial. The prosecution's failure to secure a conviction on these counts was a significant blow, but in a twist, he was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for prostitution, a serious federal crime that carries its own significant penalties under the law. The split decision left both sides claiming partial victory, a complex and nuanced outcome that defied easy categorization. The prosecution, while securing a conviction, failed to prove the most severe allegations, the ones that would have painted Combs as a criminal mastermind. On the other hand, the defense couldn't secure a full exoneration, a complete dismissal of all charges, leaving a shadow of doubt hanging over their client. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo, despite the guilty verdict on some counts, called it a great victory, emphasizing the acquittal on the more serious charges. But the ambiguity lingered, a sense that the full truth remained elusive. The verdict suggested the jury believed wrongdoing occurred, that something untoward had indeed taken place, just not to the extent alleged in the initial indictment, a crucial distinction that shaped the outcome. In the end, Combs was neither fully vindicated, his name cleared completely, nor fully condemned, facing the most severe penalties. The outcome left his legacy, his public image, and his future prospects. And the conversation around it, more complicated and multifaceted than ever before, sparking intense debate across social media and news outlets. The legal battle within the confines of the courtroom was over, the gavel had fallen, but the debate about his place in culture, his influence, and his impact on society had only just begun, promising to be a long and complex discussion. Relief washed over Combs as the not guilty verdicts were read, but the celebration was short-lived. The guilty counts meant immediate consequences. Prosecutors argued he was a flight risk, citing his wealth and access to private jets. Judge Subramanian denied bail, and Combs was taken into custody on the spot. The image of a music mogul in handcuffs was a stark reminder that even partial convictions carry weight. Sentencing was set for October 3rd, with each count carrying up to 10 years in prison. Prosecutors signaled they'd seek 4 to 5 years, while the defense prepared to argue for leniency. The man who once ruled the industry now faced the real possibility of years behind bars. His future, once limitless, was suddenly defined by uncertainty and confinement. The trial left an indelible mark, a stain that's proving incredibly difficult to remove. It's a turning point. A moment where the carefully constructed image began to crumble under the weight of accusations and legal proceedings. On Combs' public image, once meticulously crafted and seemingly impenetrable, the aura of success and invincibility that surrounded him for so long has been severely compromised, shattering the narrative of the self-made mogul. The rags-to-riches story, the image of a man who defied the odds, is now viewed through a lens of skepticism and doubt. The public's perception has shifted dramatically. Graphic testimony and a federal conviction, even if on charges that some might consider less severe, painted a disturbing picture. Even on lesser charges, the implications are far-reaching. It's not just about the specific allegations, it's about the overall impression of misconduct and abuse of power, planted seeds of doubt that can't be erased. These seeds have taken root in the public consciousness, making it difficult to separate the man from the allegations. The distinction between sex trafficking and prostitution was lost on many. The nuances of the legal definitions were overshadowed by the shocking nature of the accusations. The core message was clear. Regardless of the specific legal terminology, the underlying narrative was deeply troubling. Combs used his power to facilitate illegal acts. This perception, whether entirely accurate or not, has become a defining aspect of his public persona. Brands that once eagerly sought association with Diddy are now re-evaluating their relationships. Partners and fans are distancing themselves, wary of the negative publicity and potential damage to their own reputations. Now see the Diddy brand as tainted, a symbol of controversy rather than success, its aspirational sheen replaced by scandal. The luxurious lifestyle once envied and admired is now viewed with suspicion and judgment. His legacy as a producer and innovator is forever altered, his contributions to music and culture now viewed through the prism of these allegations, with every achievement now shadowed by the trial. The accomplishments that once defined him are now inextricably linked to the controversy. Civil lawsuits loom, threatening further financial and reputational damage, and more accusers may come forward, adding to the already considerable legal and public relations challenges, prolonging his legal and reputational crisis. The road ahead is fraught with uncertainty and potential pitfalls. The story of Sean Combs will now always include this chapter, a dark and complex chapter that will forever be associated with his name. A permanent asterisk in hip-hop history. His place in the pantheon of music icons is now forever marked by controversy. The verdict was not closure for the victims, for the public. or even for Combs himself, but the start of a long reckoning. A reckoning with the past, with the present, and with an uncertain future. The empire he built now stands on shaky ground, its foundations weakened by the weight of these allegations, its future uncertain. The path forward is unclear, and the legacy of Sean Combs hangs in the balance. Awaiting sentencing in federal custody, Combs' world has shrunk to legal strategy and hope for leniency. His business empire, Sean John Kirok Revolt TV, faces an uncertain future with partners likely to distance themselves. The Diddy touch, once a mark of success, is now a liability. In music, his legacy is hotly debated. Some separate the art from the man, others cannot. He's become a cautionary tale, a study in the collision of genius, power, and downfall. The mixed verdict leaves no clean slate, only a permanent stain. The man who once had it all, now faces a future defined by limitation and infamy. The final chapters of his story will be about reckoning, not reinvention.